Welcome to One Tired Teacher, episode 239, 3 mistakes that make kids hate reading and how to fix them. Hello. It's been a while. It's been a long time. If you are still a loyal listener to One Tired Teacher, welcome back. I have decided to reinvent this podcast, and I am really excited to have so many people that followed along and held in there. I can't believe you've been listening to all the old episodes, all of the episodes from the past. There are 238 episodes, and it has been a crazy journey. I've took a hiatus. If you're on my list, if you're a TDTL listie, then you know that. You knew that I was taking a long hiatus. And if you're not on my list, well, then come on. I do a weekly newsletter called Readers in the Making, and I give lots of tips about reading and the love of reading and the joy of reading. I also talk about makerspace and making and STEM and things like that. And I would love to have you. All you have to do is go to trinadeveryteachingandlearning.com, and there is an easy way just to join that newsletter. And I'd love to have you. And then you'd know a little more when I was going to take a really long hiatus, which I hope not to do again, because I'm excited about this podcast and I'm excited about the direction it's going to go in. This is going to be, I don't think I'm going to rename it to Readers in the Making. I kind of keep going back and forth because I still want to talk to teachers, and I still want to highlight some things that are going on in education, and I want to speak up about some things that are happening as while this whole field is being kind of under attack. I also want to talk about to homeschool moms and parents who have kids that are, you're trying to make learning fun for them, and you're trying to engage them and inspire them and show them relevance. And if you're a homeschool mom and you are wanting to do things differently and not just pick up an old curriculum that we might use in a classroom, but you're wanting to do something different, that's the whole reason that you're homeschooling, then welcome. So you are teaching from home. So you are also, you might not want to identify yourself as a teacher, or maybe you do. And you're like, I'm not a teacher at heart, but you are a teacher at heart, because moms are teachers at heart. They are like natural, help, a natural with helping their children learn and develop and grow. And so we're all kind of in this together. It's like women. I want to say one tired woman. And, we all wear so many different hats and wear so many different roles. So I'm kind of speaking to a larger audience of people. I'm speaking to, moms and homeschool moms and teachers and women who need a voice, want a voice, and who care deeply about children loving to learn. So that's what this is going to be mainly about. And I hope that you'll continue to join me. Today, we're going to talk about 3 mistakes that kids make or 3 mistakes that make kids hate reading. Not the kids, that kids don't make the mistakes. Unfortunately, we sometimes make the mistakes, but we're going to also talk about how to fix them. So hope you stick around.
Welcome to One Tired Teacher. And even though she may need a nap, this teacher is ready to wake up and speak her truth about the trials and treasures of teaching. Here she is, wide awake. Wait, she's not asleep right now, is she? She is awake, right? Okay. From Trina Devery Teaching and Learning, your host, Trina Devery.
Hey, so that was the longest introduction in the world, but I think that I needed to give you a little bit of context because it's been so long, my friend. The last time I did an episode, it was a Christmas episode. So it's been quite some time. All right, so let's jump into 3 mistakes that make kids hate reading and how we can fix them. So first of all, is your child struggling with reading, or are your students struggling? Do they resist books or even seem frustrated every time they read or they go to read or you want them to read? Many well-meaning parents, well-meaning teachers, we unknowingly make reading harder for kids. Although, let me tell you, I know that's not the intention. I know we're not doing that on purpose. And I think we care deeply about them caring about it, but sometimes things get in the way. But the good news is, small changes can make a big difference. In this episode, I'm going to break down 3 common mistakes that turn kids away from reading and share simple, research-backed fixes to help your child and your students feel confident, capable, and even excited about books. This is what you're going to learn today. You're going to learn the biggest reading mistakes that make kids frustrated. You're going to learn easy shifts to help your child enjoy reading or your students enjoy reading. And you're going to learn a simple 5-minute reading fix that you can start using today. Now, if you're a teacher and you're like, okay, some of these things are going to work for parents, but they're not necessarily going to work for me because I'm mandated to do ridiculous things, then, sometimes, and I've said it before and I'll say it again, sometimes we have to shut our classroom doors and do what we know is right. And if you're a parent and you're thinking, why is she telling this to teachers? Well, that's because sometimes teachers are asked to do things that are not in the best interest of our children. And it's of no fault of theirs. And we have to really hope that we find teachers that go against the grain. And if we can't do that, there's lots of responsibility that comes on to the parent, because parents, you don't have to listen to anyone else. You can do what you know is right in your heart. And teachers, these are things that you can also share with your parents, because we need parents and teachers to come together now more than ever. If you're homeschooling, then you're thinking, I don't need teachers to come together, but we want that for other kids. Like, we still know that there are other kids that don't have the opportunity to homeschool, and we know it's really important that these children also get a quality education. All right, let's talk about mistake number 1, forcing just right books all the time. Let's talk about why this is a problem. First of all, many parents, even teachers, have been told that kids should only read books at their exact reading level. But when kids only have access to books that challenge them slightly, reading feels like a constant test instead of an enjoyable experience. Struggling readers feel defeated when they never get to experience easy wins. And we are also eliminating purposeful reading, such as learning about something we are interested in or something that we love. And there are all kinds of reasons to read all kinds of books. And limiting children to often ruins the love of reading. Now, I'm not saying that they can't spend some of their time in just right books, because we know that's where the reading work is occurring and we're wanting them to improve. But we don't have to spend all of our time in just right. We need to give choices and opportunities and other things. So this is how we can fix it. We can let them read what they love. I'm going to say that one again. We're going to let them read what they love. If your child or your student is excited about a book, even if it's too easy or it's a graphic novel, it's a win. So, for example, I had a child who was obsessed with dinosaurs. If all he wanted to do was read about dinosaurs, let him read about dinosaurs. Give him a picture book on dinosaurs. Even if he's supposed to be reading chapter books, when do we decide that they're supposed to be reading chapter books? Now I want them to read chapter books. They're 7. They should be reading chapter books. Like, we have to let go of some of these things and let our children develop naturally. They will eventually move along because there's a purpose and an interest. But it's okay if that's not happening at the exact timetable that you want it. Now, I know that hearing that as a teacher, you're like, wait a minute, I'm held accountable for this and that. But even when we force them and push them, they don't do it. They don't end up succeeding. And another thing that we're doing is we're destroying the love of reading. And I've said this so many times on my YouTube channel, Readers in the Making. I've said this so many times. It's like, Kids will not continue to do what they don't love. So this matters. Their feelings about what they're doing matter. Another thing is another way to fix the problem of, not always reading and just right books is the key is balance. It's to balance challenge and engagement. So we want to use like a 60-40 rule. So 60% of their reading should be in books they enjoy. Only 40% can be in books that stretch their skills. Now, I know that goes against what many people have learned and said, but we want them to spend a little bit more time in the books they love and a little bit less time. It's almost a 50-50, but not quite. A little bit less time in books that stretch their skills, because if it's a book that stretches their skills that they love, then that's great. Then we can disregard the percentage. But we want them to be associating reading with joy. Another way that we can do this is we can make audiobooks and graphic novels part of the routine. Here's a pro tip. Listen to audiobooks while following along in print helps struggling readers build fluency. All right, our second mistake is using reading as a punishment or a must-do task. Oh man, why this is a problem. Have you ever said, no screens until you're finished with your reading? Or if you don't behave, if the class is not doing this or that, we're going to get out our books and we're going to read. Or if you don't behave at home, you'll have to read a book. This makes reading feel like a chore instead of a joyful experience. When reading feels like an obligation, kids start to resist it. How can we fix it? We can make reading feel like a reward. Instead of you have to read, let's have a cozy book reading break. Or we get to read Tales of a Fourth Grade Nothing tonight. Or we get to read Piggy and Gerald. We want to offer reading as choice. Would you like to read outside today or in our reading fort? Do you want to read alone or with me? So it's kind of a forced choice in that case. And if we're in the classroom, do you want to read at your seat or do you want to read under your desk? Do you want to read, in the book nook or do you want to read at the reading table? Like things like that. They're still reading, but they feel like they have a little bit of power or control over their choices. Another thing to do is pair reading with comfort and fun. So things like reading picnics is a great thing to recommend to parents. So parents, reading picnics, take books outside with snacks. I actually did this as a media specialist. I would take kids outside and we would read on the playground or we would read under a tree. Flashlight reading, that's another really fun thing to do in the classroom or at home. Read in a fort or under the covers. Of course, that would be at home. Act it out. Use different voices and movements to bring stories to life. So much fun. Also, let kids read in ways that work for them. Some kids need to move. Try letting them listen to an audiobook while walking or sitting on an exercise ball or following along with drawing. That can be super powerful when they're listening to an audiobook and kind of illustrating what is happening. They can do almost like a cartoon strip. I used to do that. We read Ramona, the Ramona Quimby series in my second grade classroom. And when we got to the last few books, like we were running out of the school year and I wanted them to hear it. And I also had so much to do. So I put on an audiobook and the kids would do like a cartoon strip. They'd have like scene number 1 and they would like illustrate what was going on. And then they'd move on to the next one. And these were not like, complete, colorful, beautiful drawings. They were like little sketches so that they could keep up with the story. And they loved it. In fact, my principal did a last day walkthrough and that's what we were doing. And I'm like, we're working on a standard on the last day. I mean, what kind of person does a last day walkthrough? I just have to say, all right, moving along. Mistake number 3, focusing on speed instead of understanding. This is my massive pet peeve. Many schools focus on reading fluency or speed instead of reading comprehension. Reading fluency isn't just about speed, by the way, but let me just continue because often we're like counting the words per minute because that's the easy thing to graph. So this only matters if it's impacting our reading comprehension. When kids feel pressured to race through words, they focus on getting to the end instead of understanding the story. So how do we fix this? We encourage expressive, thoughtful reading. Instead of read faster, say, read like you're telling a story. Read like you're talking. Here's an example. How would the wolf sound in this scene? What about the pig? So we want them to read like the characters are coming alive. We can pause and discuss. This also makes reading more of a connection with you as the parent or you as the teacher, rather than a battle you fight day after day. You want to also help kids connect with the story by asking, what do you think will happen next? What do you think what would you do the same as the main character? What would you do differently? How would you change the ending? Those are some suggestions to keep them talking about stories while you're reading. Also, use echo reading for confidence. How does this work? You read a sentence with expression and then your child repeats it back. You can also do what's called a neurological, it just went right out of my head. I don't want to say compress, it just went right out of my head. It's basically the strategy is you are reading the exact same time as the child is reading, and they're trying to keep up with you as you are reading fluently. You can slow down so that they can catch back up, and then you continue to read like you are talking instead of like you are a robot. And so this is really a neurological press. Oh, it's something like that. I don't know why it's not coming to me. Anyway, an example is here's an example of echo reading. The giant roared, fee, fi, fo, fum, and your child repeats with dramatic flair. So that can be really fun too. You also want to give permission to reread. This is going to slow a child down if you're counting the words per minute, but it's going to help them better understand the story. If they read it like a robot, you want them to go back and read it like they are talking. So rereading is really powerful. We let kids reread favorite books or passages. We let them reread anything that they sounded a little bit choppy. This builds fluency naturally without pressure. All right. So I've got a 5-minute reading fix for parents, and I do also have one for teachers. So if you want a simple, stress-free way to build your child's reading confidence or your students' reading confidence, then grab my free 5-minute reading fix. You can find it in the show notes. And I've got teachers and I've got parents. I've got 2 different ones. They're just a little bit of tweaks in both of them, and you can grab whichever one works for you. It's quick, actionable strategies to help your child enjoy reading without frustration. It's perfect for busy parents who want real solutions fast. It's perfect for busy teachers that want real solutions fast. And you can download it in the show notes. I don't know what the quick URL is, so I'm sorry. It's got to be in the show notes. All right. So let's talk about final thoughts and think about what the last thing we want to say. So reading isn't about speed, perfection, or pressure. It's about curiosity, imagination, and joy. Try these strategies today and see the difference in your child or your student's reading experience. And then let me know what you think. What is their biggest reading struggle or biggest win? What do you deal with the most in your classroom? What do you deal with the most in your house? I'd love to hear from you. And if you want more quick and easy reading strategies, sign up for my newsletter and get access to the exclusive tips, book recommendations, and fun reading challenges. You can find that easily at trinademeryteachingandlearning.com. And I think it's right there on the first page, or I'd give you a /. I'm pretty sure it's right there on the front page. And don't forget to like this episode, to rate this episode, to subscribe to this channel, because I'm getting them back. I'm ready for more. And there's, got lots of good tips to make reading stress-free. All right. Until next time, this one tired teacher, one tired parent, one tired woman is ready for a long nap. Until next time, sweet dreams and sleep tight.